Alright, so I thought I'd just make a video, talking about my college experience. Um, Also, I'm wearing a beanie because it's pretty cold outside. So I'm trying to keep my ears warm, mostly because that's the only part of me that gets cold are my ears, my hands, and my feet. Seems to run in my family for some reason. But I started community college in 2013, so about, I want to say 6 months after graduating high school, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I originally went for art because for those of you who may have seen my videos where I do showcase some of my art, I just seem to have this natural skill to draw. I literally just watch other people and that's how I learn. I don't even need them to explain something, I can just watch and then learn. That's actually how I largely became a photorealism artist, is I just watched other photorealism artists draw. I just picked up on their subtle cues, how they hold the pencil, how they shade in certain areas, what types of shading they use. It was just observations that I made over time. And usually I wouldn't finish a drawing because I was disappointed in it. So I would never finish a drawing. I would just go halfway, recognize my mistakes, and then move on to the next one. I think that's probably how I improved so much in so little time, is because I didn't waste my time trying to finish the drawing because I knew it was ruined already. I would just move on to the next one until finally I came to a point where I was satisfied enough with the drawing. I would actually just continue. I wouldn't expect perfection, but I would expect it to be reasonably good. So I went to community college to try to major in game art, and I made a couple attempts to get into the industry, and I was left with a sour taste in my mouth with the whole job search, trying to get into an entry-level position. It is just so competitive, and I realized then I was not a competitive person, so I figured this wouldn't be the industry for me. Because also I came to the realization that you would have to start at the very, very, very bottom of the totem pole to even work your way into a major gaming studio. So I just didn't feel the need to try. I knew it was just, there was no way I was going to get there. So I decided, I really liked math in high school, so, I'll pursue math. And then it took a stellar astronomy course at my community college to change my mind and go for astrophysics. So I transferred to UT Austin to major in physics and astronomy. So I went there from 2016 to 2020, and originally I was excited to go into a major university, one of the top schools in the nation. It's not, I wouldn't say it's Ivy League or anything, but it does at least compare from what I've heard. I can tell you now that's full of shit, because my experience with the professors is that they didn't really give much of a shit about their students. They cared more about their research. It's a research institution after all. They're just trying to disguise themselves as a fucking school. And it's not a very good disguise. I had a few good professors, so shout out to those professors. I think you know who you are. The ones who actually gave a damn, the ones who actually stood and explained things to students in multiple ways, the ones who actually recognize that we're all on the same level. We are all learners. We're all trying to learn something new. You could be a professor, but that doesn't make you better than the student. All right, you're all in the same place. You're there to learn. As a professor, maybe you're learning how to explain something in a different way to your students. Meanwhile, your students are absorbing that information because they didn't have it before. So it doesn't matter what position you're in, you're always going to be a learner. So you have to recognize that you're going to be on the same playing field as the person in front of you. Unless, of course, the person in front of you can't even admit that. I don't know, I feel like as a person, like, people always tell me that I'm smart, and I would honestly disagree, because I feel pretty dumb most of the time. But I think it's the fact that I can admit that feeds the belief that I'm smart. So it's kind of strange. But anyway, at least I admit that, I'm not perfect. And I am far from, where I probably should be. But that's okay. Um, and, as far as my university experience, everything was going fine until 2017. Um, I worked part-time during the spring and fall to save up, as well as working full-time during the summer. And my plan was basically to save up most of my money during the summer to offset expenses. By the time I went to UT, I paid for my community college with no debt, and I had about $12,000 in my savings. That was enough to cover 2 full semesters with materials, also all books, everything. And that would be it. 2 full-time semesters, sorry. So I realized, oh shit, I need to find a better paying job. Because at that point in 2017, I ate a good chunk of my savings, so I had about 7K left. I was still working part-time during spring and fall. I would try to save the most during the summer where I work full-time. And it was going okay, but I started to realize that I was eating into my savings more drastically than I anticipated. So, 2017, my father had passed while I was in school. About a month later, I got fired from my job at McDonald's because I just got so angry with the customer that instead of assaulting a customer, I instead broke a piece of machinery that was company property. I thought they were going to make me pay for it, but honestly, a blessing in disguise, they fired me. I ended up getting a better paying job, like maybe $1 more an hour at least, about a few months later. And they gave me more hours anyway. Oh, and the place was also tip. It was a tip job, so I got $9 an hour at the time, and then plus whatever tips we got. Actually, I think it was $9.50 an hour. So, and granted, that's not great, but it's better than minimum wage. But, so I got a slightly better paying job. I got better hours. Started saving a bit more. Starting to offset the expenses from my university classes. And I honestly, what should have been a 4-year degree took me instead 7. The reason being is I had to stretch out so many classes. There were summers where I could only take maybe 1 or 2 classes. There were some spring and fall semesters where I could only take like maybe 2 or 3 classes. Hell, even some fall semesters, I could only take 1 class because that was the only one that my degree required and was available. So, by the way, sorry if I'm not very eloquent right now. I did take edible beforehand, and so it helps me calm down. It helps me get to sleep. I usually take it in the evening just to help with that, but I'm starting to wean myself off of that because I read that there are lasting cognitive effects. So I'd rather prefer not dealing with that. But anyway, back to the whole discussion. That death hit me hard, and after 2017, I stopped caring in college. I just let my grades slip. I ended up getting, instead of mostly A's, I would get mostly B's. And I didn't realize it, but I think that was the beginning of my depression. I felt a complete, I would say my mood was just apathetic. I just had a complete lack of regard for where I was. So, towards the end, my grandmother also had passed, my step-grandmother, that is. But, I do feel a sense of guilt about it. I'll talk about that in another video, but my whole college experience was, honestly, shit. I think the only thing that was good about it was, when I met my ex, because she gave me a distraction, something to break free from the monotony of it all. I think that was the only thing that was my light in the tunnel at the time. Everything else was just utter shit. And honestly, if I could tell my past self, I would have told myself, don't go to college. You can teach yourself all this stuff on your own. You're smarter than you are, than you think you are. So you can do better. I would have told him that. I would have told him just, stay, live with your parents, save up as much money as you can, teach yourself the things you need to teach, or teach yourself the things you need to learn. Sorry. Brain fog right now. And eventually attain the knowledge that you would need to go into the field that you want to go into, And if you need to go over to school, if you need to go back to school, sorry, try and test out and go straight for a grad program. That's if the possibility exists. I'm sure it is, but granted, it would be very hard to do, but not impossible. So anyway, I thought I would just make a video talking about my college experience. Overall, if I could start over, I would not go. I would just teach myself everything I needed to know, and I would have tried to break into the industry that way. If that meant I had to audit classes instead of actually attending or paying to take those courses, I would have just audited the physics courses I needed to take. So. But anyway, I thought I would just talk about that, because be it as it may, I haven't used my degree in, 5 years, I do tutor math, but I tutor very basic math, and it's not that I'm disappointed in doing that, it's just, I wanted to do something that was harder, tutoring calculus, or tutoring more advanced math, or tutoring, more advanced physics, because I feel like that would reinforce my understanding of everything. Because I just don't use the information I have enough. Even when tutoring, you can only tutor algebra for so long, and then eventually you just forget all the shit you learned in calculus. Which is why I keep teaching myself, all the math I took from my undergrad, and all the physics. I just keep watching physics videos and rereading the physics books, so I can just stay sharp and up to date. Because I feel like it would just all be a waste, I can't just let that information die, and who knows, maybe one day, if I ever feel like it, and if I ever actually apply myself, maybe I can actually discover something new. And that would be amazing. That's honestly my life goal. But sadly, I'm starting to give up on that goal. Mainly because I just feel like I haven't even lived my life at all. And how can I devote more time to doing something and just not living life, There's more to life, and, I'm starting to realize that. You don't always have to try and attain your goals. You're driving through a landscape and you're just looking at the road. You're driving through, let's say you're driving across the country and you're driving through a beautiful area and you're just looking at the road. And yet you're just missing the beautiful scenery around you, And I feel like that's what a lot of people do in life. They don't stop to take a look at, everything they're driving through. You need to take a step back and appreciate the journey. And, I think I really need to just focus on the journey right now. If there's an end, great. There's always going to be an end. It just might not be the one you want. But if it's the one you want, great. And if not, then at least you got to enjoy the ride. So, anyway, I feel like this video is dragging on, so I will end it here. And I will talk to you all later.